What is up, Earthlings? Zube here with my moon jam. I almost said monthly, but I think we're switching that up with Michelle and Max. So, and I've got we've got a full moon in Virgo, and the exact time it's Friday, March 18th. So that's tomorrow, and at 2:20 a.m. Central time. I had to remember where I was. So anyway, this is Michelle, and we're going to chat about the full moon. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, my name is Michelle Rodriguez. I run Herba Buena, and basically what we deal with is herbs and other root medicine that can kind of help with our physical human body as we're kind of walking through this world, experiencing a lot of universal things as we are an ever-changing and ever-evolving universe within ourselves. So I'm always super excited to kind of sit with my friend and talk about what's up with astrology, because it really does play a big part in our everyday, and it helps give us kind of a roadmap, if you will, on how we can navigate those changes. So
Cool. Okay, so we'll do the basics. We have the sun in Pisces at 27 degrees and the moon in Virgo at 27 degrees also. In Pisces, we have quite a lineup. We have Mercury at 13 degrees, Jupiter at 18, Neptune at 23. And then we have in Aquarius, Mars and Venus and Saturn, and then Pluto. Pluto is actually making a good aspect to this moon. It's in a trine. So we have that transformative power, which is also, and I said the word, so the moon and Pluto are in earth signs. And then we also have Uranus in Taurus, but everybody else is hanging out in water and air. So this full moon, we've got the moon in Virgo. So we're looking at Virgo kinds of things, which Virgo is earth, it's service oriented. It is detail oriented. It likes to have lists and to do things. It's very grounding for the Pisces, to oppose the Pisces sun. Ready? Mercury is in Pisces, and Mercury doesn't necessarily like being there because Pisces is water and flowy and emotional, and Mercury is actually the ruler of this moon because it rules Virgo, and it's very concise and exact, and so it doesn't feel quite as comfortable in Pisces. So if you've had trouble expressing yourself or making a point, that's gonna happen right now.
yeah, absolutely. We're
Yeah.
feeling that. Yeah, I think especially we are a household of many women here. So when we're kind of cruising on into this full moon, you can tell that there are certain things that are at a crossing point, meaning that there's stuff that probably needs to get worked. There's emotions that need to kind of get sorted out. There are old habits and patterns that need to be reviewed, I guess, for lack of a better word. They need to be sorted out to see, is it going to be something that is actually going to continue to help or hurt your emotional health? And we talk about emotional health, especially when right now we're coming off of that kind of Aquarian Pisces sort of bigger thought, because in our everyday, when we're walking through life, sometimes that bigger thought can be in opposition with what we're doing, or we might think or get this feeling that the mundane, meaning washing dishes or folding laundry or something like that, something can tip that scale a little bit in, I want to do everything. This is my dream, but I've got 10 loads of laundry that I've got to do, a sink full of dishes, I've got to sweep, I've got to mop, and trying to balance that out is what Virgo is known for doing. In like in a Mayan or in sort of a everyday understanding of what we're living through is we're getting a lot of not storms, we're getting a lot of winds, right? We have a lot of wind that comes through, and that wind moves things. So when you think of a sweeping action, it provides that movement. Sometimes it's not exactly to our back to kind of help push us forward. Sometimes it smacks us in the face, right? So if we're seeing a lot of synchronicities, if we're seeing a lot of things that throw us into this maybe thought pattern of either I'm not worthy, I can't get this done, I don't have enough time, you know, just balancing things. Maybe that's just it. I can't do this. That is our opportunity, or that's the universe. That is ourselves coming to the forefront saying, hey, I think you need to work on this right now. I think you need to pay attention to this right now, because this is going to be crucial for us to be able to work with a healthier mindset. Spring cleaning is all about, we're getting into the spring equinox. It's going to be on like the 20th. But we get into that time when we're spring cleaning and we don't want to have to do everything. But after we're done with that spring cleaning, things just seem to have a better place. Like they're settled a bit better. And once you've pulled, you know, old things out, you've swept behind things, you've sprayed things down, you've given stuff a new layer of paint, you're paying attention, you're giving detail to that work, you're giving part of your life force, your energy into saying, I want to build with you, I want to interact with you, I want to create with you. And that's important for Virgo to know that you're attentive. Right? You're taking that time, you're doing that duty, or you're changing that habit that could keep you worried or anxious all the time. Are you going to be able to change this to something that you can see real check marks in? And if you're a list person, then great, make them, you know, cross them off. But I want you to also be able to make a list that celebrates the things that you've already done. So maybe you can see that kind of like in the morning, you can see that before you start your day, because this can be a very tumultuous time for someone who's trying to find balance and doesn't know how to sit in meditation for a couple minutes, who once they hit the floor kind of running in the morning, they've already got that list, but they don't know how to organize it. So this is a very important time to be conscious of what you can and what you can't do, and then help make a habit of what is going to best serve you, meaning with that emotional health. What is going to get you to a place of calm? What is going to get you to a place of peace? What is really going to, in the long run, over time, even if, like it says, 5 minutes, what is going to make that bigger difference, rather than we were talking a little bit about like habits and bad habits and escapism. Right? This is a perfect time when we're thinking, oh crap, everything that we did, now we're not ready for it. We're not ready to introduce something new. We're not ready to get into what's going to be asked of us. Springtime is when we really do a lot of work and a lot of movement forward. Maybe I can't go back and look at everything that I need to look at. Well, then just pick one thing.
Totally. Yes. Even one small thing can make a huge difference, you know, and it's like, so when we talk about massive things, one of the things that I was thinking about while you were talking is, so my brother died, and being like with my family and all of that, it's really and this is where I'm at in my spiritual journey, but it's really pulled me back to being 10 years old, right? And here, my bigger picture, I'm so spiritual. I don't have a big attitude about that, you know what I mean? But still, this has definitely like knocked me down a few notches, where my work is very clear to me, because I see the old 10-year-old habits of like attention seeking, and you know what I mean? And I could go, God, I haven't done anything. You know what I mean? And instead of going into that, I'm like, no, this is just something to work on. Oops, I did it again. Well, next time we won't do that. You know what I mean? And so like giving yourself grace through this process and acknowledging like, yes, I still have come far, right? But there's always going to be work to do. And every time, even that there are 4 other times that I forget, every one time that I'm like, no, oops, I did that, and make a conscious effort not to, it eventually flips. Like there are a lot of things I have right now that are habits because I kept paying attention for years, right?
Right.
Like it's not a race. Like,
Right. It's not. And
mm-mm.
that's really important to point out again for this season, especially because things are going to kind of pop up. And either you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to do it, or no, I'm not going to do it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you have to be willing to be okay with that, right? You really have to be willing to be like, I'm going to set a boundary and I'm going to say, no, my energy is really, really lacking, or you know what, I can get up early and I can make this happen, because it needs to kind of shift. And the best way to kind of motivate yourself to making a shift is kind of being able to be graceful. This is not a show, okay? This is something that you have to invest in yourself to make sure that if it doesn't feel right and it's not moving right and it drains you, to take a look at it, to really dissect it, and then be able to want to communicate. So if that means you to go see a therapist, you need to talk out what's going on, of those feelings, maybe a lot of negative self-talk, because that's what I'm seeing right now, is a lot of that negative self-talk is really pulling itself down at this point to your chest and to your stomach. And that's your heart space. And that's, your stomach is where you do a lot of your immune system work. So when that tummy gets really tight and you feel restricted, find a way, even if it's journaling, right? Find a way to say it, even if you're sitting outside and you're swinging on the porch swing, or you're going for a walk. You might be like, okay, you're telling me I can walk around and talk to myself and kind of be kooky. Well, sometimes we need to practice getting those words out. Sometimes we need to practice how it sounds coming and out of our lips and speaking the truth. Sometimes it's difficult to do that. And once we get there, then it'll be easier to communicate boundaries. But if we're not well versed, or we don't even have a starting point to kind of pull those words from our tummy, from our gut, and bring them out, then we're asking our brain still to do all of that work for us.
Right.
And that's not where we need to be stuck right now.
No.
So some rituals or some tools that we can use. So I'm a big dollar store girl. Just a heads up, all right? I'm not gonna front, I am big. But
I ate Burger King cheeseburgers, so right? Like, hey, we're open-minded here.
They have these little brooms.
Yeah.
They're cinnamon brooms, right?
Yeah.
So you can use these to start cleaning any sort of, if you have like your stones when you're done with the full moon, if you have a place that you put your stones, you can start cleaning like your altar, that you might put those things on, or your sacred spaces that you have. Go through and you can sweep and use any kind of incense or smudging material that you have to kind of do that. You can literally clean, meaning with a regular broom and using washcloths and all that kind of stuff, your bedroom area. That's super important right now.
Yes.
Especially because we're like that dreamy area, but we need to find that balance of when we're waking up and we're putting into action things. So I would make a very conscious effort to going into the bedroom and cleaning those things out, pulling that old stuff out, because that's where we do a lot of work, and we don't need a lot of the busyness of the day. Because if we're waking up in the morning and we're still exhausted, then we're doing too much in our brains that we're not able to rest.
Right.
Rosemary is awesome. I think most grocery stores sell them as like culinary herbs, right? They just stick them in those little dome things. You can boil the herb, and then put it in your pot or your bowl, basin, whatever you need to clean. That is going to add a level of protection. It smells awesome, like just kind of coming out. You can add some lemon to it. That helps bring that sunshine in, because we're going to be coming into that spring equinox, like I said. So that lends itself to a lot of that spring cleaning. But those two things, cleaning your sacred spaces, cleaning your ofrendas or your altars, cleaning your room, like your bedroom. That's what is going to be most impactful when we're talking about Virgo, because they do like that list. And where are you doing that list most of the time? When you're laying down and you're trying to cross everything off that you've done that day, or you start in the morning with, I've got this and this and this and this and this. It allows a bit more clarity to kind of come in.
And it's another thing that jumped out at me is our intentions, even you mentioned sweeping. This is something I randomly do like throughout the day. Like I sweep myself. I'm like, I just feel like my space around me isn't clear. And so I've read all these things somewhere, but I don't have any crazy magic ritual about it. I just like started doing that. And it's like, sometimes Virgo is going to want to like look online and find a, thing like, no, it's you create it. Like we create these things, and it's the intention behind them more than anything else. The ritual solidifies it,
Right. And I love the fact that you do that, because in our culture, whenever you're getting into like a velación, like a prayer for the candle, or you're setting up or giving alms kind of to your ancestors and things like that, then you're opening a space, right? So like when you're doing your readings, right? You're opening that space up. So it's extremely important for you to start to sweep yourself, or make sure that anything that's excess gets shaken off. So we do that very much, that cleansing before we start. So we're not bringing anything to this time, right? That we're setting for intention. So we'll bring it to the head, we'll bring it to the heart, and then we bring it to the tummy, right? Like our epicenter, right? We bring it there, and we do that 3 times. And then we'll do that afterwards as well, because we want to make sure that we leave that space, we leave that time where it needs to stay. I think sometimes some of us might not realize that we are, like you were talking about, when you went back to 10 years old. That's in a sense, it's kind of like you're time jumping, where you're feeling and you're embodying that 10-year-old. And that's important, because you can go back to that then and pull up the things that you need to work on. But when you're ready to be this time, Teresa, it's important to kind of scoot off all that other stuff. The 10-year-old will still stay there, but this is where we're at right now. And it's important that if you do feel icky or just kind of gross, that find something that you really like. It could be like your favorite body spray. It could be like your favorite lotion. It could be anything that is going to allow you to reconnect with your physical body here, your energetic body here, versus somewhere else. You're letting that brain kind of get away, right, from you. Those are little rituals, but those are super important. So if your favorite thing to do is to have, I don't know, the Coke Zero at
Right.
6:30 in the morning, girl, go for it, right? Just
Right.
do it. But also be aware that you're doing it because you're actively working on something else, right? So your emotional, mental is going to come out right now. It is going to be heightened. It is going to be anxious. There are things in the universe that you're going to see or you're going to be drawn to. Pay attention to that because you're going to need to work on those things. You're little bits
Yes.
of this universe. You are an ever evolving pattern in that astrological kind of, cosmos, right?
Mhm.
Every kind of sign runs through you,
Mhm.
but you're actively evolving. You're actively running through these cycles. Oh, listen to her. She's like, I want to do it
I
too,
want to
the
be in
dog.
the moon jam.
So just make sure that you are keeping yourself balanced and find that balance.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was something I was thinking of with like just the Pisces and being emotional. Oh, with Mercury in Pisces, this is a good time for like spiritual breakthroughs. So you had mentioned journaling. Yeah, Mercury is making a really good aspect, a sextile to Uranus. And Uranus is like the higher mind, like the other realms, and but there can be breakthroughs, but you have to be like free writing. I mean, like not you can't judge it, right? Like just put writing on the list to make the Virgo moon happy, but don't put write perfectly, right? It's just, we've got to get things done, but that's the detail orientedness, but we cannot be like nitpicky of ourselves or judgy about the way that goes. It's really celebrating the accomplishment of things, but pulling in that Piscean, because Pisces otherwise will just bob around in the ocean, and sometimes Pisces can procrastinate because they're so open and flowy that they don't know where to begin, right? So this Virgo full moon is going to help us like find a starting point. Yeah. So anyway, do you have anything else?
No, I'm just trying to keep it on mute right now for the dog.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even notice. So that's funny. I figured maybe you had another call. This was awesome. I'm really excited. And if anybody was here and watched the last one, thank you for giving me a little bit of grace. I was a little bit out of it, but I'm really glad that I stuck with it. And the rituals and practices that we might have started with that Pisces new moon, let's kind of have a look at those and see how we're doing with that and how we feel about it. Like maybe if something doesn't feel right, well, that's all right. We don't do it. Now that we're illuminated by the full moon, we know what is working and what to keep and celebrate and what to let go of.
Right. And rituals and routines are always something that are going to be evolving for
Yep.
you, because what you need, you're going to be able to kind of pull out. Either I need to do more, you have more energy. I need to kind of quiet maybe that mental that's going on in there. So I need to get out and change it up. I mean, it might mean sometimes that you are having to be like, getting out of bed, do I really want to do this? But yeah, just try it. I mean, really try to figure out what it is that helps calm your mental chatter, but also helps to bring you back to a state of, I'm not freaking out right now. Like it's really, really important to be real with it and say, sometimes you can wind yourself up so tight that you're just freaking out over everything. And yeah, if you have questions, if you want to work on a routine, if you want to work on a ritual, got Facebook at Herba Buena, or you can always give a shout out to Teresa here and she can kind of connect us. But we really want to make sure that in those rituals that we're working with and those routines that we're working with, that it's something that is evolving with you, with you. Okay, because as that
Yeah.
universe, you are sending out those reverbs, those ripples of your work. And that's what is so important. It's not about everybody doing the same thing all at the same time. It's not about everybody looking at life the same way all the time. It's about actively bringing them to you, presenting themselves to you, so that way you can make a deeper impact on what it is to find peace and to move with peace and to move with these changes. Um, it's going to really change that dynamic then for
Yeah.
you. But yeah, give me a shout out if you need any assistance. And like always, I love hanging out with you and spending time.
Yes, I know for sure. All right, well, I'll close this up and then I'll say goodbye to you. But thank you, Earthlings, and we will see you for the next new moon. Peace. Namaste.